So I always find it interesting to hear people's stories from why they went from Democrat to Republican, right? Like even for myself, like in 2016, I left the Democrat Party in 2016, and I voted independent, right? I didn't like either options, Hillary Clinton and of course, Donald Trump at the time. But then of course I finally came to my senses, and then 2020 I voted for Trump, and then of course 2024. But hearing other people's stories for why they shifted from Democrat to Republican is always interesting. Like for example, like Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks, right? The reason why she, not to say she's a Republican, but she obviously is starting to leave the Democrat Party and started maybe vote the Republican. I don't know what she voted for, but you could see her start talking more, conservative talk. It's because she had an experience with homeless people while she was walking her dog, right? Sometimes it takes an experience for some people to realize that the people that they support is just the wrong move. And then you also look at black people in Chicago when Governor Abbott he was sending illegal immigrants busing them down to Chicago, and then now you started having a lot of black people talk about how they're gonna start voting for Trump because they didn't the policies that they supported started impacting them personally. Okay, so in this video we have a woman here who's a liberal, who's gonna talk about how people on the left are driving her to become more Republican. So let's hear what she has to say, and then I'll share my thoughts.
I'm not even a Republican, but every time someone on the left opens their mouth right now, like I am this close to becoming a Republican. When I hear the words "no human is illegal" coming from a group of people that more than likely own fucking passports, like I'm this close to putting a MAGA hat in my cart. Like I am trying to be reasonable, okay? I am trying. I have very leftist views, okay? I don't like guns. I believe in trans rights. I believe that if you're a consenting adult, you can do whatever the hell you want to with your body. But when you start replacing words like mother with birth giver, and you see people like Gavin Newsom calling his own wife the first partner of California, like I can feel my soul applying for an NRA membership. Like I have traditionally leftist views, okay? I recycle. I believe in clean energy. I believe in healthcare for all. I understand and acknowledge that racism is alive and well in America today. But when I ask for something as simple as border security and you start throwing out words like racist and fascist and bigot and authoritarian, I start Googling where to buy a fucking F-250. And I don't even like trucks. I hate trucks. I would never drive a truck. But the way you guys are acting is literally making me want to do something so cringe, like fly a giant American flag off of my front porch. And don't even get me started on 4th of July. Oh my God. Every time that a leftist says that they're not celebrating 4th of July or that 4th of July is canceled, I promise you another piece of American flag clothing gets put in my cart. I mean, maybe at this point I should thank you for reviving my patriotism, because every time you open your mouth, I become more and more of a patriot for this country. I'm not even a Republican, but every time someone...
And that's because the Democrats today are not the same Democrats they were like 20 years ago, right? 20 years ago, you could look back at, videos where you're hearing, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Obama, and other Democrats. They had more moderately conservative views, right? When it comes to illegal immigrants, when it comes to, the budget, the debt, U.S. debt, they were sounding like Trump sounds today. And the Democrats have gone so far left, so far progressive, that a lot of people that used to be Democrats and liberal are now shifting more toward, they're getting pushed to the right. Like you even got Bill Maher, right, who's a Democrat, who's a liberal. He even feels himself moving towards the right because the left they've gone so far left, right? So far left that now you got Zoran Mamdani, running for mayor, and he's an outright communist, right? He's a communist, pretty much. And this is where the left has gone, right? Because when you get to a point where you get to a point where you say you don't even know what a woman is, right? When you're asked to identify what is a woman, you can't even come up with the definition. You've lost the plot. Like it's over. Like that is one of the most simple things to talk about. But you have many people, Democrats, that are gotten to a point where if you ask them like what is a woman, they can't do it, or they don't want to do it. They've lost their minds. That makes absolutely no sense. And then when you get to a point where you're saying, men can compete in women's sport and think that's a good thing, like you've lost your mind, right? And when you're talking about, patriotism and loving your country, when I look at the right, when I look at, people on the right, Trump supporters, I have no doubt that they love this country, right? They will do almost whatever they need to do to protect it. Okay, like there's now you may have some fake Republicans, conservatives that act like they love America, but they obviously don't, especially in government. But when when you're talking to everyday folks, citizens on the right, there's no doubt that they love America. But when you talk to people on the left, the way they talk about America, it's almost like they're disgusted, that they're embarrassed to be American. Okay, that they start supporting things that make absolutely no sense. That's antithetical to American values. Right now, the fact that you got so many people talking about socialism, supporting that stuff, and it's just like, do you understand what makes America great? The fact that we have the freedoms, and then you got people, these Democrats that attack our freedom of speech, right? And then you got people supporting that. It's like do you understand what freedom of speech is? That it's your side that's shutting conservative sides down, but they don't care because they don't like conservatives, so they think it's okay, right? Then you got obviously Democrats trying to restrict gun rights, which is another freedom that Americans have. Right, the two top freedoms, you're talking about freedom of speech and freedom to bear arms. Like, these are two very important rights that Americans have, and many people on the left are okay with that. And this is the problem that a lot of people have when you're talking to Democrats. This is like, do you even love this country? Because you could, like I said, 4th of July is coming up, and I'm pretty sure I'll find some reaction video of somebody on the left criticizing America. Like, why are people waving their American flag? And it's things like this that make you question, like, do you even love America? And you got so many people on the left that just that have this mindset, and it's just like, they're very miserable people to be around sometimes. Like, it's a lot, not all of them, but there's plenty of them. And then you can listen to her where she's just saying that some of the things that they're talking about is just like, yo, the more you talk, the more I hear you speak about some of these crazy things on the left, it drives me more to the right, because it doesn't make any sense. Okay? And that's for a lot of people. Like, even for myself, like I said, in 2016, I left the Democrat Party because at that time I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, and I saw what the Democratic Party did to him, and I was like, wow. I said, you guys are just as corrupt as the Republican Party. And right there, I was like, I'm done with the Democrat Party, and I voted independent because at that time I didn't like Trump. But then as time went on, and I did more research, and then actually in 2020, I actually listened to Donald Trump speak, and it was just like, all right, I would watch his press conferences, and then of course I would go back to CNN and MSNBC, and I would like, all right, I would watch them totally distort, some of the things that he said. I was like, all right, Trump didn't say that. Right? And then I would go again, watch, Trump again, his press conference, and I would watch him every day during the pandemic. And first of all, I was like, yo, this dude is a funny guy. Like, he's a funny guy. And then also I would say, all right, clearly the media is distorting the things that he's saying. Like, they're saying things that he didn't say. And I was just like, wow. So it's what they say about the media is true. All right. When he talks about fake news, and it's just like, the more and more I watched him, then I was like, all right, Trump is actually not as bad as I thought he was. All right, and then you start learning more about the right, and then conservatives, and then the Republicans. And you start really like researching the values that they have, and you start saying, yeah, like, as you get older, it's like, yeah, I kind of subscribe to that stuff. The left is nuts, and you can see where they're at right now, and you wonder why they're losing so many people. Okay, so it's no surprise that when I hear somebody that's on the left, who's a liberal, feels like they're moving more to becoming a Republican. Okay, and it's no surprise, because the left, they've gone off the deep end. They're losing themselves. They're crumbling. The Democrat Party is pretty much damaged. They're getting taken over by socialists and all types of stuff, communists. They're getting taken over by these far left progressives, and who knows how much longer they got to survive, because those policies are just outright ridiculous. All right, so those are my thoughts. Interested to hear your thoughts. Make sure to leave a comment down below, hit the like button, share, and if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe. So you guys, take care, have a good one. Later.